All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Life and Sound podcast. I'm your host, Kid Capone. Today I have a very special sample maker with me, XYNothing. He's an amazing sample maker out of Saint Vincent, out of the Caribbean. So
Thank you.
We're going across waters here, making this connection and interview happen.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Amazing to have you, bro. I've been a big fan for a long time, and then I have a feeling you're going to be sharing some knowledge and information that'll help a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll start off with some of the easy stuff. Where did the name XYNothing come from?
All right. So basically, back in 2017, I used to do graphic designing stuff. I used to make like banners, headers, profile pictures, all that sort of stuff. So back then, I went through like 5 different name changes. First, my name used to be Alpha Designs, whatever. Then Alphabetic Spaghetti. I made sure to delete all names associated with those accounts. So like you can't find them if you search them up.
No.
But yeah, after a while, my name was just Nothing. That was just my name, and I was in this designing group called Worldwide, and the O in world was an X, and the I in wide was a Y. So all the members in the group would put XY in front of their name. So it was XYNothing. But then I got kicked out. So I just kept it.
He said, I'm taking this with me.
Yeah.
Well, it's all right. I mean, the name is amazing, and even though you left that group, it's like it stuck with you, and it's kind of who you are now.
Yeah, I didn't even think much about it.
So about like how long would you say you've been making music?
I know the exact date that I've been producing, July 20th, 2018.
Wow, that's not a very long time at all, like as far as years and length of time.
Nah, but I've been a musician my entire life though.
Really? Let's go into that. How has your like relationship with music changed from when you were a kid versus now?
I've been playing classical piano for like 9 years.
That definitely has a big influence on your sound then, I would imagine.
Yeah, I've been playing in the church as well for like 5 years, around there. My mom used to be what do you call it again? My mom used to play the piano, clarinet, all those stuff, and she used to like go around playing concerts or whatever.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so when I was little, she would like carry me to piano classes or whatever, and yeah, that's how I started started getting into production or whatever.
Did you feel like
music.
When you first started like playing piano and everything, was it something you loved right away and you enjoyed, or do you feel like you kind of had to warm up to it a little bit?
Oh hell no. Bro, I was in them piano classes for like 2-3 hours, bored as hell. And the thing is, I would keep on forgetting to like practice the pieces. So every time I came to class, I would get cussed out by the teacher or whatever. And another thing, I'm not gonna cast some of them pieces were mad boring, bro.
Yeah.
Yes, because it was like classical, Beethoven, Mozart, whatever, all them people. I don't even remember them because I used to remember the pieces I played because I would just play it based off like memory. I knew how to read sheet music, but I would just memorize how to play the notes.
Yeah, you would memorize the melody and everything more than reading the music.
Yeah, I can't read sheet music to save my life, but no, I didn't like it at first. I only started liking it around when 2018, when I started watching producing tutorials, like Kyle Stenberger, all those, all like the OG YouTube people, producer people. That's
Definitely.
when I got into it.
What like sparked the change that you were like, all right, I'm ready to like dive into getting a DAW and really learning how to make my own?
Because I had watched his how to sample like a God tutorial, and I was like, yo, if I try hard enough, I can make the sample that he what do you call it again? The sample that he sampled or whatever. I can make something like that from scratch if I try. So then I downloaded FL or whatever, and I started making beats and samples or whatever.
That's awesome. When you like first started making beats and all that, or when you even first started making samples, was it even remotely close to where you feel like you're at now?
Nah, because I was making lo-fi for like 2 years.
I feel like that's a good start though, because I'm guessing you got into lo-fi because you liked it yourself, right?
Yeah.
And then so it kind of made the process more enjoyable and easier to learn to get better when you're creating stuff you love.
No, not true. I'm not gonna cap. I was kind of crazy at the lo-fi stuff.
I believe it,
Low
man. You're
key.
crazy at the sample stuff, bro.
Thank you. But nah, I was let me see. Yeah, I used to do lo-fi because I was a big fan of knowledge. I was a big fan of like uh instrumental like albums or whatever. I would listen
Definitely.
to a lot of them on some, I forgot the name of the page, but it was a lo-fi hip hop page. It
Yeah,
was one of the first.
it's like a good way to like find new music and stuff that like made you want to create and just enjoy listening to. What is the music scene and like environment like in Saint Vincent where you live?
Terrible. They don't take musicians. They don't take musicians seriously. They don't take producers seriously. Barely any music scene. Barely
Why is
any
that?
niggas making music. I don't know. I wish I knew. They just don't take music people seriously. Only like the big people, like well-known people, and even the well-known people aren't prominent here. They're prominent in the States or whatever. Are the only people I know who get paid for doing shows or whatever.
That's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, definitely.
So, do you feel like you're kind of paving the way and changing up the narrative where you live? You're almost gonna.
Hopefully, I hope so.
I think so.
Time will tell. Maybe in a year from now.
I believe it. I believe in what you're doing and like the path you're on, and keep creating content and putting out your packs. Like they're very inspiring, man.
Thank you. I try
So-
my best.
Hey, keep going, bro. How did you first get linked up with the Chosen Ones? How did that come about?
This is sort of long, but it starts with Simon Savitas. So basically, I was in his server back in like 2018, and whatever, I participated in like the server events, whatever, and then someone had told me about Internet Money. I'm like, yo, who's that? Whatever. Then I checked them out, whatever. So I was a fan of Internet Money for like a few months. Well, I am still a fan of the people there. I got some brothers in IM, shout out them. But after I IM made their Discord like last year, I had pulled up, and during the first like week of the server existing, Nick and Taz, they had a sample contest. So I and a few other people decided to like enter into it. At the time, I didn't know anyone in the server. I didn't know any Chosen Ones people, but I had entered the server, and I participated in the sample contest. And I think I came first. Yeah, I came first. So like Nick and Taz, they like hit me up or whatever, but nothing came out of that initially. But what I do remember was one of the first people to hit me up from the Chosen Ones was Five. Well, he wasn't in Chosen Ones at the time, but Five had hit me up, and at that time, Five and Elkin were close. So I think I had also met Elkin a little bit later in that server. He like hit me up, and he said I was fire and etc. And then a few months down the line, when the IM server died, Elkin had put on his story who wants to join the server or whatever. It's gonna be exclusive, and he named it the Chosen Ones. So I told him like, "Yo, send me the link," and I joined, and you know,
And the rest is history.
Yeah, that's the issue.
So, who's all involved in the Chosen Ones? Like, I know it's you. I know Kabali, Elkin. I've seen Five and Greg Seckers. Is that Secaris?
Yes, yeah, Secures.
Anybody else I'm missing?
Let me see. Tooch, Elkin, Five, Greg, Kabali, Jared, Chris. What else am I missing? Bro, I know they're gonna be mad at me when they look back at this because I can't remember all their names.
Sounds like there's a lot of them then.
Nah, there is. Oh yeah, Expressive, Cook Up, Zentachi, K. That's all I can remember. Oh, Caleb. That's all I can remember off the top.
Yeah, you guys are definitely the future because all of those names are phenomenal sample makers, man.
Yeah.
Would you say that being in the Chosen Ones has definitely positively affected your creation process and your music?
No, yeah, it has. Cause I remember like first, I think it was the first 2 days of me being in the server. Elkin had called me on Discord, and he was like, "Yo, XY, come listen to this." Cause I remember I showed him this sample. I don't have it on my hard drive, cause it was on an old computer.
Hmm.
Uh, but I had showed him this like crazy sample at the time, and he was like, "Yo, this is hard." And I remember he told me like when he listened to that sample, he wanted to make. He was like, yeah, he was like, "Damn, I need to make crazier stuff or whatever." So then he went back. He made the sample. He called me and he was like, "Yo, XY, listen to this." I'm like, "Yo, this is crazy." And that sample was actually the Jokes on Me sample. I
Really?
think it was, yeah, it was the Jokes on Me sample that he had played for me. Cause I was like, "Yo, this is crazy." This is like, cause hearing like all the flute runs and stuff and the vocals, I'm like, "Damn, I need to level up."
That's amazing. Like, I
Yeah.
love that, Kabali gave me a similar sentiment. He was saying how all of you guys just inspire each other so much, and you really kind of push the envelope of where you're at, and everybody's like, they hear somebody else do something fire, and they're like, I fucking gotta step up now, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Any big kind of placements or anything on the way right now for you?
Uh, to be honest, I be getting cussed, but to be honest, I don't really like, what do you call it again? I don't really keep like a mental note of them unless I get like paperwork or whatever. So I can't
Smart.
tell you off the top. I don't really care unless I get paperwork.
Because that's when it's actually going to be a reality.
Yeah.
Smart, man. So what are your daily habits kind of like? When you wake up, kind of when you go to bed?
I have a terrible sleeping schedule cause like daylight savings and cause most of these people live on East Coast or West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I know like my homies are like 4 hours behind. I know Greg is like 5 hours behind. I be working with him a lot, so like it would be 4 a.m. and he just like and it would be like 8 for him or whatever. So I be going to sleep at like 5 in the morning, waking up like 12 or 1. Like I was struggling even to just get to this interview because I had to wake myself up.
Well, you made it, and you seem like you're present in here, man. So thank you.
Yeah, but
Uh,
after I wake up around like 12 or whatever, I just sit down and listen to music and or watch anime or something like that, and then I might make a sample, just depending on how I feel, cause I'm not really the type of person to like say someone DMs me and they're like, or a homie hits me up is like, "Yo, bro, Drake is doing so and so, send me some samples or whatever." I wouldn't stop what I'm doing and make samples right then and there. I would do if I feel like I'm in the mood for making it, I would make it because I think music is more of a feeling and less of a, oh, I need to get this placement or that placement or grind for, so and so.
I agree.
Yeah, so if I don't feel like making it or like I'm not in the right mood, I'm not gonna force myself because it's not gonna turn out good most of the times.
I like that. You seem to work more when you follow your joy, and it's something you actually desire to do in that moment versus forcing yourself to create.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I try my best to not make this feel like a job.
I would agree. I feel like that's the only way you're going to be able to do it for a long time, is if it doesn't feel so like work.
Yeah. I still try and keep a somewhat of a schedule. I would be like, all right, tomorrow I make one shots. Other day I make samples, whatever. I try and keep like a rough schedule, but other than that, I don't really have like, anything set in stone of me
It's not like
of
get up
like
at this
anything.
time, make samples
Yeah.
from this to this time, and all those kind of things.
Yeah, nah.
So another thing I've been asking sample makers recently, because I'm curious about this and like daily habits and those sort of things, is do you ever like smoke or drink or anything before you create?
Nah, other than water.
Just a couple water fighting demons?
Yep.
Nice.
Cold water. It's hot in the Caribbean, bro.
Yeah, I would imagine. It's got to be humid too, right?
Very much so, bro.
So do you find yourself like staying inside a lot of the time and creating, or do you like try to at least go out and, go for a walk, get some fresh air?
Yeah, sometimes when I was back in Saint Vincent, but I'm not in Saint Vincent right now. I'm in Barbados at the moment. But when I was in Saint Vincent, yeah, sometimes I would just go out, sit on the porch or whatever. Since we lived up in the mountains, it was kind of cool at times. So I would just go out and sit and get some fresh air. But no, I wouldn't really go out anywhere because I lived in the mountains. It was a ways to get to the town or whatever, or go with my friends since we all lived on different parts of the country, whatever.
I feel that. It was like you almost had not much to do other than stay home and focus because it was way too much of a journey to try and go, get into trouble or go do something.
Yeah.
So I love your one shot kit that you dropped with the sample pack. What was the process for making the one shots kind of like? Because I'm always curious how different people do their one shots.
Well, the one shot kit was actually my stash, just stuff I would one shots that I would take from my projects or sounds I would take from my project files, whatever. If I liked them a lot, I would just put it in like a folder, name it my stash, and then if I'm having a creative block or whatever, I'll go back and use them or whatever. But
how did you like create them, or how do you, like what are your kind of sound sources and process for making the one shots?
well, hold on, let me see. For the avant-garde one, the kit was split up into like two parts since I was working on that kit for like 9 months. So during the first 5 months, I had no gear or whatever other than like some busted up speaker and my guitar. So I would just use VSDs for like that first 5 months, and then that's when I got pedals. But when I was using VSDs, on the old speaker it had like a delay thing, whatever, and some EQ. So I would grab a bunch of sounds or whatever, plug the output on my interface to my speaker, our old speaker. Then I would play the sound back into my mic or into my phone. Oh, and another thing, when I was recording one shots, I had this app on my phone. I had an Android phone at the time. Since a lot of people in the Caribbean, iPhones are like mad expensive.
I would imagine.
Yeah, by the time I had an Android and I had this granulation app. So I would record any random sound onto my phone. Then in the granulation app it had like format shifting, oscillators, like a whole bunch of crazy effect stuff, and that's how I would also make some of my sounds.
That's really inspiring because that shows, the community in the world that you don't need an Apollo and $1,000 instrument and all these things to create great sounds. It's just willpower and knowledge and combining the two.
And bro, I barely had a good computer. I barely had any music stuff. I barely had a mic. I had a Blue Yeti up until like 6 months ago. Like since I didn't have any crazy gear or whatever, I had to make do with what I had.
That's amazing. That inspires me because I'm somebody who I have a little more gear and things that I've acquired over the years. I've been doing it a long time. And even me with pieces of gear and things here, I don't always find it the easiest to just come up with something. So it's inspiring me that you found a way just to have the will and the desire to create something great. And that's what made it happen. I feel like there's a good lesson to be learned there for a lot of people.
Yeah, if this is a way, there's a way.
100%. So typically from the time inspiration kind of strikes you and you get like that first initial idea for a sample, about how long does it take you to complete the idea?
Like 9 hours.
I believe it.
Like 9 hours, but then I would also start another sample in between. Cause what I would normally do, I would start the idea and then I wouldn't finish it the same day. It's a sort of thing that I started doing. I don't finish it the same day, so when I come back, I can listen to it with fresh airs or whatever.
That's really smart. I feel like sometimes I find myself being in the moment feeling like I have to finish the sample, but there are samples that I hold off on and come back to. My whole sample pack that I put out, Prohibition, a lot of those had been almost done for a few weeks, and it wasn't until I brought in my friend Spaceboy Uno and I kind of went through it with him just as like an objective listener and somebody to help me. And it was able to get done later. But I think that's a smart idea, to take an ear break so your ear doesn't get fatigued and you don't lose perspective on what you're creating. And I feel like it'll even inspire you to come up with new ideas that you wouldn't have thought of on the first day you were making it.
Yeah, and I also take a break listening to music because this thing that happened, bro. One day I woke up and I'm being serious. Like I lost all hearing in my left ear.
That's scary.
Like I only heard low end in my left ear for like a year.
Do you know what happened or anything?
No, I went to the doctor. He said it was an infection, but I don't know.
Has it come back since then?
Nah.
Oh, man.
I'm chilling right now, but I literally lost all the hearing in my left ear. I only heard like low end or like mids or whatever, but I still managed to make music. So at the time, I had a habit of listening to music like pretty loud.
Yeah, that'll do it. You can get, tinnitus or rupture your eardrum if you're not careful.
Yeah. I only listen to loud music if it's on my speakers or whatever. So I try and take care of my ears nowadays. But so that's why I take a lot of breaks often.
That's amazing. I mean, that's a healthy recommendation though, because you don't want to damage it further. And I think that's an inspiring thing to talk about, that it happened to you and you're still continuing to make music and you don't let it stop you. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
I love how you're very nonchalant about it, but for a lot of people, man, that's like a huge deal, losing their hearing.
I was crying. I was crying for like 5 months.
Damn, man. Well, I'm happy that you're still going and you're still creating and you didn't let it stop you.
Yeah.
When you're working on a sound, what's the feeling that kind of I know it's an interesting question to ask, but what's the feeling that kind of happens inside of you that lets you know, oh shit, like I want to keep going, like this, whatever I started right here, something in it is magic. Like how do you recognize that feeling?
Let me see. That's a good question. But that's kind of hard to answer because I be making music on like autopilot.
Yeah? Like how would you say? Like what's the process kind of like?
I'd be making like I would start something and then the ideas would come in and then I would just get to working. I wouldn't really think that's the thing I like to emphasize or whatever. I like to tell my homies, like, just don't think too much about it. I just be like doing whatever just comes to my mind. I don't really think much about it. There is no like deep reason for me adding in that sound or this sound. I'm just like doing whatever sounds cool or whatever.
That's awesome. So you'll just kind of be going and like say you started with something with the guitar. Mm-hmm. Is it just kind of you record or do a new instrument or layer as it hits you? You're like, oh, this guitar sounds cool. Maybe a one shot of something on the one here, and then maybe, the bass line next. Mm-hmm. Do you... go ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah, sometimes I would... Well, another thing, I don't know if this happens to other people, but there are times when I would hear full samples in my head, like...
Definitely happens to me.
Like, I can hear each element or how I would think it would go together. Like, I would hear the sample in my head and I can hear each individual element and how I go about making them. I don't know if that happens to other people.
It happens to me sometimes. I know for me, inspiration can hit me anywhere. And when I'm out for walks, I can pull out my phone and use the voice memo and I'll record just like the melody in my head that I'm hearing, but I already kind of know that, this melody is going to be played on a guitar. It's going to be a top line. And then I kind of know, oh, I want strings and bass. You almost hear the completed sample in your head, but me recording that initial melody lets me get the idea later when I come back to the house.
Yeah. I don't really voice memo those ideas. I kind of just keep a mental note, and when I'm back in the studio, I would lay it down.
That's awesome. I found myself I can lose it if I don't record it sometimes. So for me personally, I feel like it works.
Mm-hmm.
It works just as a quick reference for later. Or sometimes I'll be at a friend's house and they'll have a guitar or something, and I'll just pick it up and I'll start playing. And if I get an idea, I'll just record, that idea on the guitar right then and there on my voice memo. And sometimes I'll even start writing a top line or another layer. I'll just play the recording back and start soloing over it to start kind of thinking of what's going to happen once I get back into the studio.
Yeah, that's why I be doing that sometimes too, but not a lot of times.
Yeah, it's pretty much as a tool that I only use when it comes up,
Mm.
What would you say is kind of the XY signature sound?
I don't even know, because each person that you ask, they would say it's the sine waves, it's the thermal, whatever, it's the perk or whatever. Me using that one, or like me having some like crazy textures in the back. But personally, I don't even know.
I love that. You don't let yourself be defined by a certain type of sound or anything.
Nah, not really. Cause I be branching out other than R&B. I like to make pop or whatever, or make like funk or whatever, or try and make some 80s stuff or whatever.
Would you feel like that's a good piece of advice to give to sample makers, is try making a ton of different kind of genres instead of sticking to one lane always?
Yeah, definitely. Like branch out and listen to different things other than hip hop, because I used to just listen to rap. I used to listen to rap straight. I remember back in like 2017, 2016, I only listened to rap. Then I started listening to other stuff. I didn't even listen to R&B. I started listening to other stuff, R&B, emo stuff, old records or whatever, Japanese music or whatever, like those old Japanese records.
That's, what's crazy is that has been a thread through the last 3 interviews I've done, is people have been referencing 70s and 80s Japanese funk and like Japanese soul and those kind of things. Kabali said that.
Because it was
Jay
going
Bento
crazy.
said that. It's amazing. I love that you guys, everybody knows that. It's crazy.
Nah, because it was popping, bro. They was off crack making funk music back in the 80s, bro. They was really popping off. They was making some crazy music.
And it's great because it's recorded in there, and now it's shaping the sound of the future today. And it's wild how that stuff happens. That's what I love about music, is it always seems like the one thing that even if you're gone, it'll live on. Even if, say, you lost your voice or you lose your skills, if you have it recorded from that time period, it's this capsule of art forever.
Yeah, definitely.
So how do you stay inspired musically and creatively? Like, what are some things you do to keep the energy flowing?
Just by listening to my homies or whatever, we would be on calls or whatever, and I would just sit back and watch them make samples, and I'd be like, damn, that's cool. Let me try something out, or someone would show me how to use or how to make some crazy sound, or someone would put me on to like VST or whatever. And then other times, I just wouldn't force it. If I don't have like if nothing's coming to my mind, or I'm in a block, I'm not gonna try and make music. I just sit down and relax until something comes to my head. Cause there are a lot of times where if I have a momentum or whatever, like I could make samples straight for like a whole week without losing any inspiration.
I believe that happens to me myself. You'll strike the iron while it's hot.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I be watching anime, reading manga, and all that stuff.
Does anime have like a special place in your heart? Kind of like brings you joy other than making music?
Yeah, I've been watching anime since 2012.
I love it.
Before I was producing or even making graphics or whatever, that's what I was doing. That's the only thing I was doing, because my homie had put me on to a bunch of anime or whatever.
What are some other things that are outside of music that kind of balance out your life, that make you feel like, it never feels too heavy doing one thing?
Uh, graphic designing. I like to just like make. Well, my homie told me that my homie told me that graphic designing isn't really like when you make like cover arts or whatever. That isn't exactly like
Graphic
making art.
design, but it
Yeah, that
is.
isn't. No, as in like the traditional sense. In like the traditional sense. That's what he told me. But I be like making graphics or whatever.
I like
Like
your.
or just
Do you do your cover arts?
most of them. The aperture one I didn't do, and the spectrum one I didn't do, but the rest I did.
That's awesome. So that's kind of like, would you just throw on an anime and kind of create and like do the graphic design just as something that brings
Yeah.
you joy?
Yeah, but I be throwing on anime when I'm making samples, and I be blasting it loud too.
That's awesome. So you just have like the TV going with anime going and you're just like cooking up making samples?
Yeah, you could. Well, if I played you some stems, you can literally hear like the anime in the background if you turn it up loud enough.
That's wild. I love that, dude, because you just, I'm somebody who I just want people to follow their joy because I feel like that's how you're going to get to where you actually want to be, whether you know it or not. And the fact that you don't even turn it off, you're just like, I love this so much. I don't care. Like, if it's there, it's there, you know?
Yeah, I could just zone it out and zone back in whenever.
Yeah. When are the times you find yourself having the most fun in the studio?
At night. I hate the day. I hate morning. I just hate mornings in general, bro.
Why is that, do you think? Do you feel like the energy is kind of easier to create at night versus like the hecticness of the
Yeah.
day?
Yeah, it's mad easy for me to create at night, and also like the night just feels calmer. Personally, I think the night like is calmer for me to make music, or like the mood is right at night. Cause I can't make no R&B during the day, bro. It's too damn bright. Or I can't make any dark samples during the day. It's too bright.
That makes sense.
I'm not. Yeah.
I love that. No, that's really cool because I was gonna ask you, if it seems like the time of day affects your sound, but it definitely does. You can't make R&B during the day.
Nah, I barely make music during the day.
I feel like that's cool because you almost know, you recognize when you work best.
Yeah, bro. I work best around like 7 to 5 a.m.
That's awesome. Like, and that's personal to you. I've recently looked up.
Yeah.
There's like these like called sleep chronotypes, and it's basically just tells you when you work best. You do this little test, and it helps you figure out what time of day you work best, and you already recognize that you work best at night, and that's really cool.
Yeah, but then again, I try and record stuff during the day because in the Caribbean, the insects and crickets be so damn loud. Like,
Damn.
No sort of noise reduction can prevent that from happening. Even my homies be hearing it when I'm in calls or whatever. Like, bro, why the crickets so damn loud?
I know where I live. I live in Southern California, and in particular where I live, there's these bugs called cicadas, and they come out in the
Yeah.
summertime, and they are just, it's constant noise. Like, they don't stop at all. Day or night, they just keep hissing. And so it's really hard
Yeah.
for me to record and make guitar. I kind of have to find the right times. Like, if I catch them when they're quiet, that's the time I can record, and I have to go quick.
Cicadas are all year round for here, I think. Yep.
Here it at least gets like cold in the winter because I live in a desert, so it's really dry. And so in the winter it's too cold for them to come out. But in the summertime where I live, it's like it could be 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It's really hot where I live.
Yeah. The only time I didn't hear the cicadas was when we had the volcanic eruption.
Damn. So I wonder if they left or if they were just like, we gotta get out. Shit's gnarly.
I don't know. All insects and animals just stopped making noise. Cause you probably heard about it on the news or whatever about some small country having a volcanic eruption.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my country.
Damn. Is that why you're in Barbados now?
Well, now I'm here for school, but we were stuck in the country when the volcanic eruption happened. So even if we wanted to leave at the time, we couldn't leave or whatever.
Oh, that's gotta be scary.
I still made music. I still made music during the eruption though.
That's crazy. So you didn't let it phase you.
Nah, but there was ash everywhere. The houses were covered in ash. It was incredibly hot, and there was no water or whatever. There was no food too, for like a few days. You couldn't use the bathroom, whatever. The pipes weren't working,
Oh my God.
and the ash. And since ash is kind of thick, if you breathe it in, you can't breathe properly. But I still managed to make samples.
That's crazy, man. Like you made it through all that and you just keep going. I where I grew up, I lived in San Diego as well, and we had a wildfire one time, like a huge wildfire, burned like tons of houses down where I lived and everything. But the ash, like you said, was so thick, like they didn't even let us go to school. You couldn't really go outside. It was hazy. You couldn't see the sun. It was definitely a scary time.
Yeah,
But, staying positive, not letting it phase you, that's the important thing, right?
yeah. At least, bro, I'm still surprised you even had electricity during that time.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like everything was turned off and you had, like you said, no food. Like you couldn't use the running water. You couldn't use the plumbing.
Nah, bro. I would go. We would go 2 weeks without bathing or whatever. Like it was, or brushing your teeth or whatever. Like it was crazy.
Doing what you have to do to survive, though.
Yeah.
Damn. What do you kind of look for when you're discovering, new sample makers or people, or do you just kind of, does a friend put you onto something, or are you just kind of focused in your own world, and if it comes up, it comes up?
How I discover new sample makers? Well, sometimes it would just hit me or whatever. Like, I know a few people from them like hitting me. I know some crazy European people who like they ask to send samples. I don't do beats or whatever. I don't make beats only with like my own samples or whatever, because I'm keeping it right. I'm trash at drums, but a few like some people like to hit me up to send samples or whatever, and like a few European people hit me up and like they were like crazy, like Ishi, Memo, Urakan, like those type of people, and my homies would put me on. They'd be like, yo bro, check out this guy or check out that guy, whatever. So yeah.
Do you enjoy sending your samples off to producers and hearing them like flip them and add like something new that you maybe wouldn't have thought it would sounded like?
Yeah, definitely. If I have a thing, if someone like tags me in a story and like the beat is like crazy, I would ask them to send it, and I would repost them. I repost it too.
That's awesome.
Like as long as it's fire, then like as long as you're fire, I'll send you samples, whatever. As long as the flip is crazy.
That's good. Do you feel like a lot of people reached out to you through your tutorials and through your YouTube channel, like after those kind of started getting a lot of traction?
Yeah, I know. My homie's in Tachi. That's how he found me. He saw one of my tutorials.
That's amazing. What made you want to even do the tutorials and the breakdowns?
I used to be on YouTube making tutorials, non-music tutorials.
Oh, really? On what?
On an old channel, delete all the videos though. On the old channel, I used to make like random tutorials and random stuff.
That's cool. And then, so you already kind of had your feet wet with making tutorials, and then as you got deeper into sample making, did you decide this would be good information to share, or was it more so this will get traction to my sample pack, or what was the thought process kind of like?
I remember me, Greg, Elkin, we were talking about how the sample making YouTube thing is kind of dead, because all of like the fire people either like, moved on to the industry or whatever, start making tutorials, and some of the people, not trying to throw shade or anything, some of the people who are in that same sample making YouTube community are kind of booty.
Agreed.
So we were like, yeah, we're better than these niggas. We can, if we put ourselves out, get the platform, we can change things up. We can
That's how I felt. And I kind of feel like I recognized that when I saw your tutorials and I found them myself. I could tell that you were somebody who was doing things differently. You were looking at music in a different way. And it felt very pure to me, if that makes sense. Like, it felt just very, I love what I'm doing and I'm just going to keep creating. And the products that you were making were phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, man. All right. Well, I think we'll move on to my For the Nerds section. We'll kind of go into plugins and those sort of things. What are some of your most regularly used plugins?
GoodHertz. I've been using the whole GoodHertz package. Soundtoys as well. Let me see. I'll be using Shaperbox. Even though Shaperbox is just like automation stuff, what do you call it again? There has like a section where you can use like different presets or whatever that's in the Shaperbox thing, and like you could get some crazy stuff if you play around with it.
I would imagine. What are some of your kind of favorite EQs that you use?
Well, I'm the it's like a running joke that I'm terrible at mixing, because I'm keeping it right. I don't even be mixing like that. I just put the sounds together and pray they work, or pray that they don't clash, or the frequencies don't clash, or whatever. The only thing I would do mixing wise is take out the lows, take out the highs, boom, that's it.
Yeah, nothing. You're not doing a bunch of multi-band compression and a bunch of crazy processing.
I don't even know how to compress properly.
Well,
I just use Wolf compressor and turn up the knob thing.
That's cool though, because it's kind of, I mean, truth be told, even when you do use EQ and compression, the thing everybody always just tells you is use your ears. So if to your ear it's sounding good, and to other people's ears it's sounding good, obviously. So you're probably mixing at least decently, better than you think.
Hopefully, I don't know.
He's like, I don't know, ask an engineer about that.
And another thing that they like to speak about is me having too many, like, if me having too many like tracks in my samples or whatever. Because on average, I would have around 30 to like 42 tracks in my samples nowadays. I know it's OD, but there is a method to my madness.
Definitely. Yeah, Kabali was telling me about you and him kind of were seeing how many layers you could add in a sample, like for like you did like a little trick like that or something.
Yeah, the most I had was like 56.
Damn. And what are all those, like what are they all? Is there just like mad textures?
Yeah, textures or whatever, and there was like a separate part with just guitar and other stuff, just tiny little air candies that I was doing. I don't do that now. I don't do that nowadays because, I try to use as little sounds as possible while still trying to,
do the most.
Sound, yeah, while doing the most.
Yeah, I feel like, truthfully, in sample making, less is more. I mean, even in music, less is more. As long as the quality of the layer is great, like you could have one piano, but if the piano is moving and has higher octave little runs and different flourishes, it makes that one layer very exciting. And so I feel like...
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like there's a balance, though, because I'm somebody who is a fan of textures, and I don't mind when there's a lot of tracks, but I like it because as long as there's an intention behind it and it actually is adding something to the sample, that's the important part. If you're adding things that it's not really making it better, I don't feel like you're necessarily adding something necessary.
Nah, definitely, because I used to do that a lot. I would just add a bunch of things without purpose.
I feel like that's a process everybody needs to go through, though.
Nah, definitely, because you can have like 8 sounds in a sample, whatever, and it could still sound full or whatever.
100%. I mean, there's been Rucker Collective packs that I've got that I'll hear the sample and it blows me away. And I'll drop the sample into my DAW and the stems, and there's 5 stems. And you're like, what? How does this sound so lush? And like, it's only 5 stems. But then when you're hearing each one individually, you see how, the math adds up.
Yeah, nah, definitely.
What are some of your most regularly used instruments and gear that you have?
Guitar. Love the guitar. Even though I've been piano player or whatever for like my entire life. I love the guitar. The guitar is like one of the craziest instruments. Personally, I love the guitar. I be using. I always try and make the guitar not sound like guitar. That's my purpose every time I open up my DAW.
What are some ways you manipulate the sound to make it not sound like a guitar?
Let me see. Well, melodizing the guitar, pulling the guitar, format shifting on the guitar. I be putting format shifting on everything.
I've never tried that.
I know. I remember I had showed some of the chosen ones people and they're like, XY format shifting on the guitar, really? But nah, it doesn't work in all situations, but in some situations it sounds fire. So like I'll put format shifting on the guitar, the piano, obviously vocals and stuff. Bass,
yeah, but I feel like
lead.
it's definitely not used on all those instruments. That's awesome.
Well, I use them on those instruments.
That's cool.
But I should not be anyone's role model in making samples. I be doing some wild stuff. I be doing unnecessary things.
How so? Like, what would you feel like is something that's unnecessary that you do?
But I would literally I have my amp here. You can't see it, but I would play something on my guitar to the amp. Then I have a second mic that I record into my interface. Then after I do that, I would run it through a VST amp, and then I would run it back to the amp, back to my pedal board.
Just doing the most.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it radically like kind of changed the sound? Like it had an intention at the end and made it sound how you wanted?
I didn't even know what I expected to sound like.
You're just trying it.
Yeah, I was bored.
One thing that I learned recently that I thought was cool that not a lot of people know is headphones work the same as a microphone. Like headphones and speakers work the same. So
yeah.
You could, take, sometimes one thing I've done is I've taken, like the little headphones you could buy at a gas station, just like real cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take those, I'll plug it into the interface in the mic input, and I'll drop the little headphones into a water bottle, like empty water bottle. I'll drop it into an empty water bottle, and I'll sing into the water bottle, or I'll have somebody play saxophone, like aimed at the water bottle, and that signal that comes up is crazy. It has this like
that's hard
it has like a weird texture. It sounds like it's in this little room. It's like picking up vibrations, and it's different than just recording with a normal mic.
I never thought of that. I know speakers and headphones could be used as microphones if you set up correctly, but I never thought of actually recording things with it.
Yeah, I forget the engineer's name, but there's this mixing engineer I watch, and he'll take like headphones and put it on a snare drum, and he'll like record the snare and like the drums like that. Weird stuff, dude, but it ends up sounding crazy. Yeah, I feel like it's something different that I'm always trying to share information that'll inspire the community and make people, maybe approach something differently. So I felt like that was something worth sharing.
Yeah, that's hard though.
What are some of your favorite effects or ways to transform a sound?
I be abusing chorus. Shout out my man Tooch. He put me on. I used to clown him for using chorus because literally he would have like 5 instances of chorus in 5 different VSTs. Like, bro, what are you doing? But then I tried it out once. I'm like, nah, this is actually fire.
That's crazy. So using like different types of choruses?
Yeah, what I like to do, I would just put multiple instances of the same effect on it.
Yeah, like kind of, double up on what's already good.
Yeah, and I be abusing Abbey Road Studio 3, if you know what that is. It kind of puts it in like a studio or like a room or whatever.
Yep. That's my friend uses that to mix. It's where you're like in the room with it, right? Like in front of the monitors and stuff.
Yeah, I just be putting that on anything, my bass, guitar, piano, vocals, and I would double it or like add it like 4 times in the effects chain or whatever.
That's crazy. That's definitely something I've never would have thought of doing.
Yeah, definitely. And what else? Delay is hard. I be abusing delay on plucks and leads and runs. That's how I normally make my runs. I would just grab a pluck, add a crazy amount of delay, some chorus, play it onto like my phone or whatever, because on my phone there was an app that, well, on my Android tablet there was like a crazy like app where you could where like it was like a gliding sine wave thing, whatever. At the time I didn't know how to make it. I didn't know any like sound design. Shout out Louis Flynn. He taught me like sound designing.
Did you
But
take his class? Did you take Louis'
yeah.
class on sound design?
Yeah, I did. Well, before it was like a sound design class. Since you know you were homies, he would like teach me how to like but as like a friend. Like, it wasn't really like a paid class thing.
That's cool. He was like a mentor, somebody kind of just looking out for you.
Yeah, he mentored me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, shout out all the Loophole guys, Eli, Nahum, shout out all of them.
Agreed. I know. I want to get them on here. So I definitely want to in the future get them on here as some guests because I feel like they have some great information to share. Uh-oh. I think we're losing you.
No, I'm sure Louis would. We can.
Oh, wait, you're back. You're good. It was breaking up a little bit,
I'm
but
good
we're
now?
back. Ooh.
I'm good now.
Wait. It kind of was. Oh, wait, you're good now.
I'm good now.
Yeah.
All right,
You're good.
all right. But I'm sure Louis and Eli and Nahum would get on if you had accent.
Well, I'll definitely, reach out, see what we can make happen. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
What are some of like the most underrated or kind of slept on plugins, do you think?
Let me see. Keyscape is hard if you process it right. I know some people don't like Keyscape or they be using like Contact Pianos or Piano Book or whatever, but if you process the piano correctly, Keyscape can be like very fire. You can make it sound very realistic.
Agreed. I use Keyscape all the time. That's my piano go-to in all my samples.
Yeah, and Piano Book is fire. You know what Piano Book is?
Haven't tried it.
It's basically, I know the chosen ones, man. They're gonna get mad at me for saying this, but Piano Book is just like an open source community thing where you can upload free banks. So it's like a community where a bunch of people upload like banks, piano banks, harps, whatever, any instrument or anything.
That's amazing.
So yeah, you can find some really like unique and creative stuff if you look properly on there.
That sounds like it, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, but you would have to search deep though.
What is some secret sauce that you wish you knew earlier in sample making that you know now?
I don't even know any sauce, if I'm being honest.
No, you don't feel like you know any like techniques or processing? Like I feel like we touched on it a little bit, using the Melodyne on guitars, formant shifting, any creation process or anything that you could like maybe give some advice to help people create easier?
Try and be out of the box. I know that's like common knowledge to try and be out of the box, or try think out of the box, try and not do what you're used to doing. But I try every time I make a sample, I try and like put myself in an uncomfortable situation to see what I can make out of it or whatever.
Nice. So you don't just play it safe all the time. You don't like play it safe and just do what you know? Nice.
Nah, I try and like push myself and see what my limit is, and when I get to that limit, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try and see if I can surpass that or whatever, or go beyond that.
Always trying to push yourself farther to do something you haven't like gone to do before.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the final 5. These are my last 5 questions. They can be one sentence, one word. Don't have to be very long if you don't want them to. But this is where we'll kind of wind down the interview here.
Yeah.
What is something you wish more people did in their music?
Stop. I wish people just stop thinking too hard about it. Music is a feeling thing. You should feel out the music. It should come from like the heart, or what you think feels right, not what you think everybody else would, not what you think everybody else should think it sounds like, or whatever. You get what I'm saying?
I definitely.
You shouldn't
that's
think.
great
You shouldn't
advice.
think. You shouldn't think about what others are gonna think about the sample. Basically,
Just make it.
Yeah, just make it. Even if someone thinks it's bad or whatever, like someone else could think it's fire. Like opinions will differ. Everyone's opinion will differ. Even your homies or whatever. Just as long as
It's
you
true.
enjoy making it.
Yeah, music is so subjective. Definitely. Where do you see music going in the next 5 years?
Honestly, I really don't know. I don't even be focusing on like what's trending in the sound community or whatever. I just be making stuff.
Yeah,
I
just
just do
stay
what
in
I
the
be
course,
doing.
making stuff.
Yeah, I just do what I feel like doing.
Nah, that's smart. What would you say is the best way for a sample maker to improve their samples?
The chosen ones, people used to clown me for this, but listening to the stems and listening to like samples or other people's samples that you look up to, listening to older records, listening to different genres, like I said earlier, because me and my homie Patron, the chosen ones people used to clown me for this, but me and my homie Patron, we used to be looking at coupe stems. We used to be listening to coupe stems and trying to recreate the sounds. Like yo, this is crazy. But shout out to Coop though, cause Coop, he's like one of like the goated sample makers.
Agreed. He's phenomenal, man.
He's crazy, and he's a cool dude too. Shout out Coop.
Good stuff.
But
we gotta get Coop on here too then.
I don't know personally. I don't even know if Coop would hop on, because he be like MIE on social media or whatever. He'll be like,
He's pretty private.
yeah, he's pretty private on IG like that.
That's okay.
But-
We'll see what happens. You never know.
Yeah, but definitely like trying to recreate sounds, because that's how I learned how to because after say I recreate like how someone processes their vocal, I would take that and then try and put it in my own way or twist it in my own way. Like
Same.
if someone uses the delay this way, I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna try use it in a different way, see how that sounds.
I think that's smart, because I'm somebody who I've definitely bought plenty of sample packs just to break down the stems and listen to them and learn, because I feel like that's so... It's like the keys are right there for you. All you got to do is just get the pack and listen, and then figure it out. So that's definitely good advice.
Definitely.
What is the worst advice you've ever received?
I have to think about this. Worst advice I've ever received. I actually don't know the worst advice
You
I
don't
ever
really
received.
don't really pay attention to that too much.
Nah, not really.
That's okay. What is the best advice you've ever received?
To just to just keep on making music. That's really it.
Just keep going.
Never let any like any negative comment influence me, or never let people's opinion of me, change how I act or change how I make music.
That's smart, because I feel like that's you staying true to yourself and true to your sound, and not being afraid to take a risk and do something different and not want to sound like everybody else.
Yeah, definitely. As long as I'm enjoying it, then I don't really care about getting that placement, work with this person, send it to that person. As long as long as I get to make music with my homies at the end of the day, as long as it sounds good, then that's good with me.
I agree, man. Well, thank you so much for taking your time with me today. This has been a great podcast. I look forward to, maybe touching base with you again in the future, seeing where you're at a year from now and seeing how the sound is transformed even more.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to end the podcast here, but thank you so much. You have a great day. Happy creating and sample making, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Of course.